we go back about 71,000 years to a cave in South Africa. They find arrowheads and other probably materials that are degraded too much to confirm that they were part of the arrow, but they would say that they were probably uh, close to that match. Anyway, you look at other uh, art, rock art or cave art, and you will see, and I'll put some pictures here, you will see many, many different forms of archery. You got spears, you got atlatls, you got bows and arrows. Shorter bows, longer bows, it depends upon exactly which type of, region of the world has that picture of whatever they're doing. And they record their history that way. And there's a lot of rock art, there's a lot of glyphs that would show you the use of technology. And that's what we consider technology. You're no longer throwing a rock or beating something with a club. You're standing back a good distance because of the danger of the animal, and you're wanting to use a weapon that would dispatch the animal very quickly. So this is some of the things that we look at, especially humans. We surmise that, archery goes back as long as men have been around, and we don't know that for sure, but we can go back, probably safe to say within the last 100,000 years, we've been using specific types of technology in order to hunt or defend ourselves. And that goes up to the invention of the gun in the, I don't even know when, 1200s. So, the Chinese invented gunpowder and it went from there. So technology of any kind whatsoever has been used for, war or hunting when it comes to weaponry. Swords, spears, Vikings would use swords and spears to dispatch bear or whatever they were using. They also used the bow. You look at how far removed people in Brazil or the Amazon are from people in Africa, and they've been using that type of weaponry. These are uncontacted tribes still living in Africa. These are uncontacted tribes still living in Brazil or the Amazon, and you have the same type of technology. So it's kind of weird that these people still live as though they were living 10,000 plus or 50,000 plus years ago as hunter-gatherers, and they're uncontacted because they don't want anything to do with technology. It takes away from their soul, probably. I don't know what their belief system really is. I can only surmise that that probably is what the case would be. It takes away from their being, and they're no longer the same people they were. So they want to stay the same and pure and whole, whatever. And they still have that type of technology to where they're using a bow and arrow. I've seen pictures and videos of these people out there. Actually, they allow visitors to record them, but they don't want anything to do with that type of evolution. So I get that. But anyway, they're so far removed. You wonder how people from Africa and people from the Amazon used the same type of device, but they didn't have any contact. So there's a lot of questions there, and that will probably be answered at some later date, way beyond our existence. But nonetheless, ancient archery goes back a long way. You have a story from Troy, and you'll recognize this from the Clash of the Titans, both versions, to where Perseus is saving the princess who's about to be devoured by the Kraken because of their disdain for the gods. In the original story, Heracles, not Hercules, not Perseus, or Perseus, Heracles is riding up on the beach, and he sees this monster about to devour the princess. So he says, "Hey, I'll go and save her if you want me to." And so the king says, "Yeah, here's some horses that Zeus gave me, mares." And so he takes the horses down to the beach, and I guess, as a gift, probably as a gift. The story's not really concise on exactly where the horses come into play. They're given to Heracles, not Hercules, not Perseus. And he goes down to the beach and he throws these 3 arrows right at the beast, the really weird looking creature with jagged teeth. The head of a wild boar or a greyhound, which is how would that be the same? I have no idea. and then, the body of a dolphin or a whale, and jagged teeth. So it's called the cetus. Cetus, Cetus. Anyway, as the story goes, he's throwing 3 arrows in this picture you're going to see. So he's probably doing the combat archery method. Yeah, pretty cool. And so that's the one of the things that, you look at that and you're like, okay, so they have this on pottery, they have this on art. So it's something that probably happened. It's something they saw. All right. So one of those weird creatures that come up out of the sea on the command of Zeus, or no, Poseidon, correction, Poseidon. Poseidon is the one who wanted to punish the king for building the walls of Troy. Okay, so those were divinely made, if you will, in their concept of divinity. And he wouldn't pay for it. So he had to set the sea monster upon them. And the only way that the oracle said, the only way to save the city is to sacrifice your daughter to the sea monster. That way it'll go away. Okay, fine. You go. And that's the way it was. But, Heracles come in and save the day. An epic Greek tale, often misconstrued by Hollywood. Vikings used bows and arrows. We know that. They used them. They weren't too far removed from the English, who also used them. But you look at English and French, and did they really have that type of communication? But of course, you look at a lot of stuff going on with the Anglo-Saxon migrations. Okay, and you look at how they could have brought technology into Britain and then went from there. But you look at all these things, and you wonder why, or how they could, have technology so far removed from one another that was similar. So it's a migration of some kind in ancient times, and that's the one thing that kind of sticks out when I see these things. I want to bring it to everybody's attention. Hey, this is pretty cool. But you look at how these people are so far removed, and they all have a bow and arrow of similarities. Okay, yeah. So you really got to look at that. And then of course you get in from the Bronze Age to the Iron Age, and they start making metal tips, and it becomes a lot more robust type of archery, especially with the bigger, longer, heavier bows. They had some that were 200 plus pounds, and they said the skeletons of some of the archers were so, you can tell that they were really, really strong human beings for that type of archery. And we don't have that type of warrior mindset anymore in our technology or our society anymore. So we don't have the warring society or warrior society that we used to have. But yeah, maybe we can get back into it. Archery as a whole is really, really cool. You learn and you adapt and you progress, and you make something that is really your own. With the Slavic draw, the combat archery technique, that's something that's really, really cool. I like doing that. I like sharing that with people, showing you how to do it, going as slow as I can to show you that you can build up a lot of speed and shoot 3 arrows within 5 seconds. Okay, not hard to do once you get it down. It's like some other technologies. Once you learn how to do stuff, we build stuff. I made slings from 550 cord over there, but this is the one I bought, and this is type of rock I'm gonna try and throw. I'm not gonna throw this rock. This one's one of my question rocks, if they ever use this for anything. But this could be a tool that I don't even know about. But the thing about ancient weaponry is when you get into a lot of things like brass, the Bronze Age, so on and so forth, you really start to see a huge jump in technology. It's not like, the bigger jump, I guess, would be from 1880s into the current time. We jumped probably several thousand years into the future with the twist of, or snap of a finger, with cars, electricity, computers, going from horse and buggy to propelled transportation. Of course, you had the locomotive engine around for a good long while, and they've been using that for roughly 200 years. So it just all depends on, where you think it may have started. Like with archery, 71,000 years ago, they find arrowheads, but there's the Greeks, or not the Greeks, the Egyptians are credited with 3,000 years ago, or 3000 BC, using the more advanced and thunderall style of archery. Uh, the Egyptians had quite a bit with archery going on as far as that goes. You look at the steppes, people of the steppes who domesticated the horse and put the horse and chariot configuration together, and they used that for war and transportation to and from. So you look at horse-drawn carts that have been going on for far longer than anybody can fathom, because of the track ruts are still in the ground in Malta. So you look at all this ancient technology and how it develops, and then where we are today. We still use archery, and it's a really cool tool, a really cool hobby. You can get into it really cheaply. It's not super expensive. It's not like going out buying a sniper rifle or a 338 Lapua or a 50 BMG, and you're shooting at it 2 miles at something that, everybody around you is going to hear that. Okay, so you're going to give away your position quickly. But if I shoot that arrow at a target at 50, 60 yards, no one's going to know where it came from. I mean, they could do their backwards ballistics if they wanted to, and check to see the angle of the arrow and the target, and say, oh, well, it must have come from that direction, because the fletchings are going from that direction, backwards, backwards ballistics. All right, so it just all depends upon your philosophical bend on how to determine a situation like that. So your education on how you do things, but silencing your string and making a much better tactical tool is probably the best way to go. And I've done that on a couple of my bows, so works out really well. All right, so babbled enough. Ancient uh, archery. Yeah, that's a lot to ponder. It's a lot to absorb. But rock art, cave art, it's all over the place. You guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Hopefully I haven't taken up too much of your time. We'll see you again.